Hi, welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. Paying for car repairs in the Philippines. What does it really cost? Well, unfortunately, the mechanics in the smaller towns like Talabon, they're going to be extremely clever, extremely resourceful, but are they going to give you the full repair? You might find that something always comes out not quite right. If you have a fairly nice car and you put it in, you might find that the mechanic has laid on under the car for the first hour and then sat in your beautiful upholstered seats for 10 minutes after that, or for a test drive. These are things that you have to come to terms with and allow for. I don't know, put sheets over your seat or something like that. But for my latest little visit to our roadside mechanical man, and that is Nestor, and he has, what happened was that he didn't do a repair on the truck yesterday, on my little red. He considered that the repair that he had done the day before had not been paid for. Now, this is where the language difficulty can come in. I actually said to him, I'm bringing the truck in tomorrow. Can we settle up then, or do you want me to settle up now? And he didn't understand that. And then when I sent the truck down there with Pastor Timio, he said, well, he hasn't paid for the repair yesterday. And Pastor Timio came back and said he'd kept the truck, he'd left the truck with Nestor. The truck had just stayed there and sat there and twiddled its thumbs, if that's what trucks do when they're waiting for a repair that never arrives. So Pastor Timio paid him 650 pesos, and that was for, actually, as it turned out, that was for the repair the day before, which I hadn't paid for, but thought that I'd agreed to pay with Pastor Timio. So I was expecting to go back there and see Nestor and pay for both repairs. No, that didn't happen. And when the truck came back with Pastor Timio, he thought that it had been repaired, and of course it hadn't. So I took it down there today. Now here's whether I've explained one of the ways that they work here or not, I don't know. But what happens if you go in a Western garage? They would have stock. If they didn't have stock, they would have a company who did aftermarket deliveries of whatever they need. So all that they would do is they would say, they would call up their supplier, and a little van would turn up probably about 15 minutes later, and the bushings that they ordered would be put on their account, or they'd be paid for in cash, and then they'd get on and they'd repair the car, and the car would be ready when you went there. And then they would list, well, it was $50 for the repair, and 25 for the parts, 4 bushings or 25, whatever they were. So that's how they do it in the West, and we kind of get used to that, but it doesn't happen here, because no small garage is going to lay out for any parts. So what happens is that you drop your truck or your car off, they take it to pieces, and then you go back maybe an hour later, and they'll hand you the part that needs to be replaced. You take that along as a pattern, and you go to the little tiny shop that sells parts, and you say, this is what I need. You don't say, I need a suspension arm for a multi-cab. You say, well, you may say that, and you put the old part on the table, on the counter, and they look at it and they bring up another part or two, and they match it up. So in among that, you would, in an ideal scene, you'd simply take that part and give it back to them, and they would fit the part, and you go back and pick up the repaired vehicle, and you're on. Now, as happened today, I was told I'm looking at the car, at the truck, from inside the truck. So the right hand side was the suspension arm. It turned out that the bushing on an almost new suspension arm was already trash. Had worn away and collapsed, and that's what was giving us all the noise and the movement. Banging and clanging about under the seat is how it seemed. So I went, he said, this is the one, this is before they'd picked it up. I looked at this is the side, was the passenger side. So I went along there and I said, I need a right hand suspension arm. And they bring the suspension arm out, and I know that it's the shorter one of the two, because the last time that we had this repair done, they gave me the longer part, which is longer by about just over an inch. So this time I said, could you bring both parts out to the countertop? And I measured it up and I picked the smaller one of the two, and then I took it back and they offered it up and said it's the wrong one. Why is it the wrong one? Well, it's the wrong side. I said, but you told me the right hand side. No, it doesn't work out like that. They stand in front of the truck and look at the truck and then say it's the left side. I don't know how they worked that out, because the truck is left-hand drive, so doesn't that mean that the wheel is on the left-hand side, and so on. So I had to take it back again, but by this time he had the old one off and handed it to me, and I did what everybody should do in the Philippines, and I took the part along, put it on the countertop. They brought out the repeat one, the duplicate, a new one, and I took it back, and in a fairly short time it was replaced. I took it for a test drive myself, and it was fine. And so I came back, talked to Nesta, how much, and the charge was 500 pesos. I worked that out, 500 pesos, $2 to the 100. So it cost me $10 to have that suspension arm replaced. Doesn't seem so bad to me. So that's my update, and now we're able to drive the little red, and it's doing quite well. We've had the engine rebuilt, we've had the suspension arms done twice, well, 3 times on 3 different occasions, and so we're able to get up the hill and down. Compared to the Bongo, I have to say this, compared to the Bongo, the Little Red is an amazing little truck. It has not got stuck once, it's just sailed through. Luckily we have had some slightly drier weather, so that's been on our side, but we've done really good. I have now on my YouTube, when I was browsing in the YouTube, I've come across about 10 or maybe 8 or 10 different sites that show an amazing way to get out of the mud, which I'll be looking at. But we went today, and we had a chat with someone in the civil engineer's office in Taliban. What we're trying to negotiate now is to have the road done. That's our goal, as we said. So this is a foreigner in the Philippines. That's the thing about walking costs on the mechanics side. We did the thing on having a healthy chest, and now we were trying to get a healthy truck. So thanks for looking in. This is a foreigner in the Philippines. Pretty well. It's not too expensive to be able to have your vehicle repaired if you can find someone who can do it, and that really is the point. So once again, excuse my gravelly voice, hope that that won't be on for too long, too much longer. Thanks for looking in. Bye for now.